We are excited to have Nishino America as our title sponsor for 2026. Nishino is driven by ingenuity and R&D, bringing innovative chemistry that works. They back every product with a customer-focused expert who knows your field and is ready to help. Stop guessing and find solutions today at www.nishino.net. Thanks again for Nishino for sponsoring the show and this episode of the Specialty Cropcast.
Welcome to the Specialty Cropcast on Pomes and Stones. Join us for real conversations with farmers, agribusiness owners, and industry experts as we dive into farming, products, and the business of agriculture, all from the people who know it best.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Episode 18.
18. Here we
Wow.
go.
18 big ones.
Don't worry about us wearing the same clothes as the last one.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Again, we are back at the...
I changed.
Oh, Steve changed. You buttoned your shirt and unbuttoned it between
Right,
episodes.
I did.
We are back here at the Great Lakes Fruit and Veggie Expo for another interview with a grower that we don't get to see too much in the neck of our woods. So let's go around the room as usual. To my right, backward hat, Steve. No hat.
I'm dressed up.
Zach is still in his hoodie.
Yep.
And our grower feature this week, interviewee, Greg Kugle. Thanks for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys.
You are a grower of many different crops in the Bering Springs area. So tell us a little bit about your farm, what you grow, acreage. Break it down for
Bering
us.
Springs. Where is Bering Springs?
Bering Springs from Grand Rapids, you're looking about an hour and 20 minutes from here, kind of around that St. Joe Benton Harbor area.
Okay.
Not too far from the lake.
Nice.
So we've been, I'm fourth generation grower. We've been growing since about 1930, so going on about 96 years now. All family operated, so dad's current owner, and I'm working my way in right now. We primarily grow apples, peaches, and grapes. We also do a lot of retail stuff, do some stuff with farmers markets out of Chicago. But yeah, I mean, the commercial side's our main business right now, and I mean, it's every year something new.
That's farming
awesome.
every year.
Right?
Every year.
Every
year
day
it's a new
something new.
challenge somehow. You worked for Nutrient for a couple of years. Where do you get your education for that and experience as a salesman?
So right out of high school, I went to Michigan State and was there for a little bit, and you needed an internship. So at that point, our salesman, he was down there, and me and Dad's had me kind of going over it, and he's like, why don't you come work for us? And I said, okay. It's never anything I really wanted to do, and but it was a class. Had to get the credits for it somehow. So I said, yeah, and actually ended up enjoying it. And I enjoyed kind of working with the growers, helping the growers out, and I stuck there a little bit longer. I was there for maybe 4 years before I finally went back to the, once college ended, I stayed around, and before I went back to the farm.
What's the difference between in your experience of doing the row crop in your college years compared to doing the fruits now?
Oh man, the row crop, it was always the big equipment was always fun. I think that's what draws people to grain. It feels
Yeah,
like
it's cool.
It's the
Yeah.
cool equipment, the big equipment. But I mean, at the end of the day, for us it was the profitability. Grain just wasn't what it used to be. Dad used to do it back in the day, and it was something that nowadays just didn't seem to have that pencil. And when I did a little bit in college, it was a rough year. It was a wet year. Had good yields, but price was bad. And I told him, I said, yeah, I don't really care for that either. And came back and started renting some apples from some local neighbors that gave me a shot. And that's what we've always done anyway. And that turned out just a lot better. It was something that, and I truthfully and you enjoyed that a lot more than the corn and bean side.
Right. And so you've now bought some of your own farms. I think you were telling me, right? You're starting to try and get away from your old man's and dip your toes into owning, which is its own headache, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's so I started renting some stuff about 5 years ago away from my dad. Still worked with my dad, managed his farm. Still worked together very closely. We share a lot of stuff. And then just recently, and probably by the time this comes out, I'll finalize a purchase from my dad. So we're going to do about a 3-section sale, and this will be the first probably third of the farm he'll sell off to me, and it'll be a little start, and hopefully over the next 3 years, we'll we'll finish up and he'll be able to kind of get his retirement figured out, and he can go to Florida. Leave me alone for a little bit.
Right?
Get off your.
That's awesome.
Get off your back.
Do you guys have like what do they call that when you get help from like a professional, like what is that?
Succession planning.
Yeah, succession planning. Like, did you guys get outside help to figure out exactly how to do that,
Or what the best way to get
because
that
it's
acreage
complicated,
is?
right? It's
Yeah,
complicated.
I mean, I think everyone does it a little bit different way. There's a lot of succession planners are out there nowadays, and we got a lot of phone calls about it. Dad kind of had an idea of how he wanted to structure it to begin with, and he kind of went along the same lines as he and my grandpa did when they started that progression 15 years, 20 years ago. And so basically, we kind of have everything set together with our lawyer. And then our CPA kind of, we brought everyone together in the same room and like, hey, what's the best way for us to do this, financially, not just for me, but for my dad too? What sets us both, for him for retirement, the best path, but also for me coming into it, being young, what's that little booster that I can get to put me in the best position for success as well?
Nice. Yep.
Yeah, it's very interesting about how you can go about succession planning, right? Every farm's got their own different plan about
Each
what makes the
farm's
most
complicated,
sense.
like
So
in their own
complicated.
way. Yeah, and there's people that don't work the farm that want a part of it, and
Or you have other people, exactly. You have other siblings that maybe they don't want to work with the farm, but if you're going to do something with it, they want their chunk. They just want their payout, and so
Right.
it's like you got to walk a thin line between paying people out, and it's definitely takes some planning. So it's good that you can, figure out a way to do that smooth.
I got
with you
real
guys.
lucky with my siblings. I just have one sister, and she doesn't really want anything to do with the farm, but I mean, she's full on board of wanting to make sure it continues on as as best as it can.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's the best. That's the best situation you can have.
Right.
Exactly.
Break your acreage down for us for apples and then the rest.
So we're probably, it's almost like a half and half. We're mostly apples and juice grapes. Peaches it used to be a very large part of our operation back in the day. My dad grew at one point almost 120 acres of straight peaches. And at that point was selling it all basically off a trailer, to any farm market guy that came in. But, since then we've probably came down to like 15 acres of peaches, if that. I mean, and we're still pulling some out. If we can't sell peaches retail ourselves or buy ourselves to a store or a farm marketer, sometimes the packing route, I mean, we still do pack some peaches when we have extra, but it's, I hope that market makes a comeback, but for right now, I mean, it's a lot of guys will tell you it's kind of hard in the packing game for peaches to make it kind of pencil at the end of the day. Kind of like everything else right now sometimes.
Right.
Right. So how many different varieties of apples do you do?
I bet you we're at least 10 or 12 now.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's pretty
some
common.
of those are, maybe a split of 3 different strains of galas, but I mean, from processed to fresh, I mean, we have some like Shizukas,
Never heard of it.
we only grow a quarter acre of them. They're like a Mutsu, monster apple, monster apple. We saw some blondies that we put in the ground a long time ago, cameos. I mean, some little off things that we use for like the retail and stuff. And some of them we took gambles on that some people said, hey, these may turn out to be a good packing apple, and they just never materialized.
Right. Well, that's the risk you run too when they have a new variety that they say this is going to be a hit, and then you plant them in the ground, and it takes so long to get a crop off them. Now, by that time, that market could be poof gone.
Yeah, but
it's kind of like the hop market.
Well, the hops.
The hops took off in Traverse City, and then they just.
There was a nut in our area that
A nut?
everybody planted years ago. You know what
I'm not
talking about?
recalling that.
There's a nut tree.
And it was the next thing.
Yeah, and then it just fell apart. I don't remember what kind it was.
So the nut busted.
The nut busted.
I had saw something interesting on your social medias about how you guys were harvesting grapes at night, only when the temperature was very cold.
Ice wine.
Yes, talk about that. I had
So-
never even thought about that.
Nope. So my cousin next door, he's a large wine grape grower, and he does a lot of ice wine. So basically, there's like temperature restrictions. You have to, and basically that's why they do it at night, is that's when it's the coldest time. I think it's like somewhere below, you have to be below 19 degrees. So once it hits like 19, 18, they can start harvesting. And the exact reason for that, I've never really asked him, but I mean, it's basically as soon as you get above like 20 degrees, they got to stop. So it's a lot of running at nights. Right now there's a lot of snow down south, and it's a pain.
Yeah.
It's a pain, but it's like a dessert wine, and a lot of people enjoy it. But I mean, when you see the bottle, there's a price tag. Because a lot of those end up on the ground. You start getting to this time of year, and they're starting to fall off. And even
And you
as
don't have the
harvest,
cold nights lately.
Well, yeah.
The last few years. This early.
yeah. I mean, they're a little bit lucky this year, but even right now, I mean, going down that row, you can feel that post. If that shaker's going down, it's vibrating so hard that post is vibrating, so you're losing tonnage. Before you even get there, it's already dropping before the harvester gets over there to it.
Right.
But it makes for interesting, but it looks cool. It looks cool at night to see those things roll.
It caught my eye. I was like, oh, wow, look at this.
Yeah, those harvesters are sweet. The grape ones.
So obviously, labor is beginning to be a bit of an issue for people sourcing domestic help. Most farmers we talk to run the H2A program. Is that something that you guys utilize on your farm?
We're in the same boat. It's, we used to, it's been maybe 5 years we jumped into H2A. Before that, we relied heavily on drive-ins. And I mean, for a while it worked. You had the guys, they were all good. And then, every year you'd lose a couple, but then you didn't have the people driving in anymore to replace them. You may lose a couple in a year, and then maybe another 4 cars pull up and want to work. Well, that kind of started to end. So we had to figure out, something different. And it got to that point where it's like, H2A had a price tag to it, but what was a bigger price tag? Not getting the crop picked or paying the guys. And we switched into that program, and I mean, it's probably been one of the easiest transitions we've had. I mean, you had to swallow the price point a little bit at the beginning, but the quality that you get, the guys that we get, the contractor we work with, it makes all the difference.
Yes.
I mean, it's a lot easier on us. It's a lot easier, on my dad and stuff as he gets older. And I mean, I don't see another way of going back. I don't think I could ever go back to the old school way.
No, I don't think we could either. Do you still have H2A labor here now?
Nope. So we'll bring a crew back in a little bit to do some trimming, probably around February.
Okay.
But most of them are gone for the season, and but I mean, it's nice. I don't have to try and keep those guys busy either. My contractor, if there's a day where I'm like, hey, I don't need him, or a few months I don't need him, he's got that covered. He'll go find work for him lined up, and if I make that call and hey, I want to maybe try this, they'll be back the next day.
Right. So that's through who?
So we use Bateo.
Okay.
And they actually got a booth at the show this year.
Oh, wow. I can't say I've heard of that one.
No, me neither.
We do H2A Complete, Arlene, Legacy. Those are the big ones up our way.
He's kind of based out of the Grand Rapids area.
Gotcha.
They do a lot of blueberries. They do stuff down in Georgia. They do stuff in Michigan, and then they do stuff in Wisconsin. But Michigan's kind of where they're from. So I mean, they're heavy in the blueberry industry, but they got into apples probably about 5 years ago. I think we might have been one of their first accounts to get into apples, and they've definitely over the years gotten, every year is better. And I mean, we've used other contractors before and haven't had that great of luck, but I mean, with Bateo, we've been them for 5 years now, and I don't have a single complaint about them.
Nice.
They do a great job.
Yeah. Unfortunately, what was traditionally started as a program to help the grower get that help that they need when they can't source their labor domestically. But the program was a great idea, but then all of a sudden they just started to skyrocket the price for the labor almost to a point where farmers couldn't even afford to have those individuals anymore. So it's good that we're seeing a reprieve of that here in 2026 where the rates are coming down in Michigan. I'm not sure I haven't heard anything about other states. Does anyone know if that was nationwide drop or if it was just Michigan?
I think all the states came down a little bit.
Yeah.
Did they?
I think Michigan may have had a higher drop than others, but I think every state came
Michigan
down a little.
was trying to get more on line with the other states.
I think they got a little out of control quick.
Yeah.
Because like 5 years ago, that's right when it went.
Yeah.
Because I think when we first got into it, it was 11.
Yeah.
45 when we first started the program, and last year it was
18.
30, went down.
1850.
2 years ago it was 1850. That was the highest.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that, paying someone 1850 to skim a cherry tank? Like that's insane.
Well, then all the other
breaks the
guys,
bank.
if you have your normal year-round guys, if they're 1850 or if they weren't at 1850, well, you got to go above that because it's kind of like that pecking order of these guys are going to have to be above here, so you're raising everybody on the farm, and then all of a sudden you kind of get into that spiral of like, well, when does where's your control end at?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You see some dudes that don't need to be making 1850, but you're full-time dudes, and all of a sudden they got to come up because they signed that same contract. They have to make the same amount of money as the other dude.
Yep.
So that's very interesting, but very nice that they've given us the opportunity to see that come down with the pay scale, though, right? What are we? The type 2 or the experienced person compared to non? What did they want to call that?
I don't remember what the
There's two.
it's
It's
like
like
2 skills.
Yeah, the first tier is like 1330 something. I think
Yeah.
the second tier is like 1747 or something like that.
Yep.
Seems like you know it.
I got the picture somewhere on here.
Let's talk about the farm market. This is something that you post about a lot, and you obviously do a lot. Takes a lot of time and effort. Talk about kind of how you got into going all the way to Chicago. All the time it takes, what crops you take down there, what sells the best, how much you do. If you have any of those numbers on how much product you move.
I mean, it started with when I was at Nutrien. Dad kind of wanted me to be back at the farm more, and I wanted to be back at the farm more. I loved working with Nutrien. I loved, talking to the growers, working with the growers, but I didn't necessarily love the office side. I didn't like, being in the office. I wanted to be out in the field. And so I kind of got to that point where I wanted to be back at the farm full time. So it was, how do I get there? And the only way I could see at the time, besides us, expanding rapidly, which isn't always the case. You can't just, snap your fingers and boom, you have an extra 100, 200 acres to go. But the farm market was always very big in Southern Michigan. I worked for one when I was a neighbor, or the neighbor down the road from me, he did one. I went and worked for him when I was in high school, did it a little bit in college. So I knew about that side. And my neighbor Kenny at the time, he knew I wanted to come back to the farm full time. And he said, why don't you try farm markets? And I said, okay, so I'll give it a shot. Well, the first year that we started was when COVID happened. So that made it interesting, but it was kind of a blessing too. And because everyone always says, well, what kind of helped you skyrocket those first few years in market? You go into a normal market, they may have been established for 40 years. A lot of the growers there, they've been there for 40 years. So how do you compete with someone who has that clientele and that's been there? It's really hard to. Well, when COVID happened, everyone was in kind of leveled the playing field because no one could go outside. So you could either sit inside or you could go out to a farmer's market because that was the only two options you had in Chicago. Everything else was closed down. So all these people that normally weren't customers came out. And so it kind of leveled the field. There was an influx of all these new people, and they didn't have loyalty towards any one of us that was there. So as I got to be able to pick from people that don't normally come to farmers markets, have never been there, and as long as they would give me a shot, then I could start to build customer bases off of that. So I got to build a little bit of a customer base a little bit quicker than I normally would have if I came into a market where I was having to battle for those customers that have already been
people.
that have been buying from the guy down the way for 20 years. And that, the market side has turned out way better than we ever would have imagined. The neighbor, Cindy Levanway, she helps me a crap ton. If there's, times like cherry season, she'll come up here and grab a bunch of cherries for some of us. I don't have the time to. But it's worked out great. Peaches is probably our biggest seller. That's that time of year we can really move a lot of stuff. We're in there 3 days a week. We're in there Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's a lot of prep beforehand, but at the end of the day, it's worth the time. We, for a long time, I said, I'm not going to wake up at 2:30 in the morning to drive a truck into Chicago. And actually one of my best friends, when I first started, I didn't have anybody to help. So basically my workforce was my girlfriend at the time and now my wife and my best friend. And they spent the weekends with me driving to Chicago in a box truck at 3 a.m. and taking fruit in.
It's crazy.
How long's that trip?
We can do it in my longest one's an hour and 50 minutes. That's for my most northern market. But it's all in the suburbs. The people are actually really cool, really nice. And honestly, over the years, I always said, I'm never going to like it. Well, you actually enjoy talking to the customers over time. They're really cool. They come back every week and you actually get to know them. And then you can see, why they have that loyalty where they're going to stick with you. And they really enjoy knowing where's the food coming from, who's growing it. And they can ask me questions. Well, how are you growing it? How is this grown? So you kind of answer some of those questions to the public because sometimes you have no idea what they think. And I'm shocked sometimes of what I hear, but it's nice to be able to give them an answer, and so that you can explain to them a little bit of why things are how we do, spraying or anything like that, which I try and highlight sometimes on social media because that's always the biggest one is why are you spraying that or what are you spraying?
Yeah, you do a great job on your social medias about taking a different project on the farm and kind of breaking it down more in a great post and explaining why we do certain things and how we do it and the reasons behind it. Because I think that's where the disconnect is people just they see the sprayer go by and they're.
I think it's just full of chemicals.
Yeah,
And,
when really we're putting in like a couple drops
Yeah.
into a 500-gallon tank. Is that people don't understand that all the time, but you do a great job of trying to explain that to the consumer, and it's good that it's received well. Is what because you have a conversation, they like what you say, they come back, and your food's good. Then guess what? They keep coming back. So you're saying you have a good chunk of return people.
Oh yeah, and one of the best things is there's a lot of people being from the city that organics is a huge thing. Well, why aren't you organic? Why can't you be organic? And a lot of those people, once I kind of break it down and explain to them, about organics, one that it is sprayed, it's that it's
Sometimes
not like,
twice as much.
Yeah, I mean but once they hear some of that, it's a lot of those people have now been customers of mine for 4 or 5 years. I mean, they went from being straight, like, I will not buy from you, you're not organic. From coming up saying, are you organic? As soon as I say no, they immediately turn and walk. Some of those same people over time, they would come back, well, can I talk to you? Yeah, let's, that's what I'm here for. Let's have a conversation. I have people with me to wait on people, and then I'm hopefully there to try and turn minds. Like, hey, I'm going to wait on people, but if this one person, if you want to talk to me and understand what we do, I'll, one of my workers will say, Greg, can we switch? Let's switch. And I'll have a, 5-10 minute conversation with someone. Some of those people have been my longest standing customers now, just because someone took the time to explain to them how their food is actually being grown. And they really, really like that.
It goes a long way. Steve has some encounters on your own market.
Yeah, we do.
and they can probably spread the message to their friends and stuff too.
Oh.
And it just
Oh,
it
yeah.
draws in more customers too. So it's a good education for
I mean,
people.
we started this year taking dried cherries.
Nice.
Dried cherries, and that it's taken off. I didn't expect it to. It was just something for me different on the table in the spring. There's not a lot of stuff in the spring. Hey, what can we put on the table? And people love the flavor. They love the health benefits. And again, it's just, trying to get out there the health benefits of this different fresh produce instead of, you buying everything from a can at Whole Foods or something. It's, hey, what can this do for you? Mm-hmm. And if they can hear some of that, sometimes it's, we got people now, they bring a list. They come grocery shopping at the market. They get whatever they can there. If they can't get it there, they'll head to Whole Foods next or whatever,
Right.
Store they got. But it's nice that they're prioritizing their health, their family's health, and coming out and buying local. But then I still explain to them that just because at the grocery store doesn't mean it's bad either.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I'm a commercial girl. I sell, we're stuff of ours you're gonna find in a grocery store. Mm-hmm. And it's nice for them to know too. It's like, just because you don't know the face behind it at the grocery store doesn't mean it's a bad product. Mm-hmm. Or you have to be scared of it or think it's grown any different than I am. Mm-hmm. And that's a nice thing too, is being able to explain to them that, an apple you're gonna buy from me, you can buy from 3 months in a Michigan apple bag at your grocery store and get the same flavor that I'm giving you right now. And it's, besides them thinking, it's some giant corporation that's putting this apple out there. It's, to give them that little bit of a push of like, hey, you're still good. You're
Right.
still good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an idea on how many pounds of certain things that you take down there? Like do you total up at the end of the year? Like, we took this many
I should.
pounds of apples down there.
I should. I've always been curious about it, and I have all these papers because my wife yells at me because I have this sheet and it's all handwritten, and it's like, okay, I got this, and she'll, if I'm super busy, I'll hand her the sheet. I'm like, hey, I need you to tally all this up. And all I get is, I don't know how you wrote this. I don't understand anything. I'm like, well, I understand it. That's all that matters at this point. I'm like, well, just
I
give it
can
back.
read it.
Yeah, I'm like, just give it back to me. I'll figure it out. But I wish I kept track. I know, like, when I plan for the week, I know, like, I'll say, okay, I need 1,000 pounds of tomatoes this week. I need 800 pounds of cherries. I need 400 pounds of asparagus. Like, I have it all broken down, like, per week. But as the end of the year, I should.
It would be interesting to
I
know
should.
just how much product you
Man.
move of individual ones, or like over a year you could see trends on what people are more into compared to year.
I mean,
That'd be
I
cool.
would say tomatoes at least, we probably move, just based on what we can do in a week, probably close to 20,000 pounds of tomatoes, all just hand sold by the pound.
So the market sounds very labor intensive, like loading up the trucks, taking it all there, setting up the tables, putting the tent up in multiple places.
It's not bad.
Really?
It's not bad. I mean, we take most of the time throughout the week, you're getting things ready a little bit every day. We're doing the normal farm activities, and every day we're doing a little bit for the markets. And then by the time, Friday night rolls around, everything's packed, everything's sitting in the cooler. Saturday morning, we all meet at the farm about 3 a.m. And usually there's about 3 to 4 of us that come from our area. And we'll all, load the truck up. Takes maybe 45 minutes at most during the heaviest time of the year, which we kind of consider that July to first week of September. It's going to take us 45 minutes to an hour to load the truck. Other times of the year, it may take 20 minutes, half hour, but being that there's 4 of us. And everyone else, they sleep on the way in. Me or my one buddy drive. We get there, it takes maybe an hour and a half to set everything up. And then you spend 4 hours just talking to people, selling and giving them fruit or veggies and taking money. That's the best part.
Taking money.
You close up about a half hour, but it's 1 truck a day. So 1 truck on Saturday, 1 truck on Sunday, 1 truck on Monday. So we're not running multiple in the days. We've thought about doing maybe 2 on a Sunday, 2 on a Saturday. The weekends are always your biggest days. Everyone's out with their family, wanting something to do. So it's really nice. And a lot of people make it like a family activity. Like you see the whole family out, all the kids, everyone. And it's, it's nice to see that. That's when you can kind of build that relationship with them and show them that, you're here as a business to sell, but you're also looking out for them. And you also want to build that kind of friendship and know that, hey, every week you're going to come back here, you're going to get a good product and we're going to take care of you.
Nice. So you're, as far as you do a great job for advocating for the crops that you're selling and stuff. So you're also sit on a couple different commodity boards. You talked a little bit about those and what you do.
Yeah. So over the past couple of years, I've joined Michigan Apple Committee, the MACMA board, which is basically Michigan apples for the processing side, and then the Peach Sponsors board. So the MACMA board is really cool. So we are mostly a processed apple grower still. We're probably 70% processed, 30% fresh. So that one, we're directly tied to helping create that price every year. So some years people may think we're awesome. Some years, people probably think we suck, depending on what the price comes out at. But it's cool to be a part of that and being able to see how that process works. Get to hear from the different processors, where they're at business-wise, how things are moving. And, they kind of give us a plan of, hey, if they're in a tough spot, like, hey, how are we going to get out of this? So it's really nice to be able to hear that and be able to advocate for a price for the growers, for the state on what we think is fair, so that hopefully everyone can, over the years, have the best shot possible. The peach board is interesting. I just got on that one. We've only had a couple meetings, but kind of the same thing. That one's been heavy on producing peach, breeding varieties over the years, which is kind of in a tight spot right now with Bill Shane, kind of retiring. He did a lot of good stuff for Michigan for a long time, and he deserves the retirement. So now now we're going to see where that board will shift to, without having that money of us trying to figure out where we're going to do for breeding, where we're going to, take that money and put it. And the Michigan Apple Board, I got on a couple years ago, and that one I really enjoyed. It's a small board. There's only 7 of us. I'm the only one from Southwest. We got one from the North, and then everyone else is kind of made up of the center of the state. And that one, I really like what we do there. I think that is where we make the biggest impact for Michigan produce on the fresh and processed side. We do a lot. I think we do a lot with that board. We're at a lot of events. We really advocate for, Michigan apples. We really push that out. I think coming up on Christmas, we're going to be at a Chris Kindle market, and they do about, in Chicago, there'll probably be 90,000 people we see there, and the Michigan apples have a full booth. We're really out there, with the social media and everything with Michigan apples, trying to create that brand awareness of Michigan apples and have people, when you go to a store, try and find those, and it's harder and harder, but I think that board we do, we do a lot of other stuff too, but that's what I'm really proud of right now, is of us really pushing of, Michigan apple brand.
Right. I was just in the last podcast, we were talking about buying fruit. Just some people roll in there, and I was just joking around. I had to have a talk with my wife about coming home with Chilean Honey Crisps and the end of the summer, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
And they're green.
Yeah,
you're like, man.
There's like a little patch of red on it. And you're like, "What the?"
Like, how did that get in?
Then Zach called me out. I had a bunch of Honey Crisp on the farm, and I don't bring any home.
Oh my gosh.
No, yeah. Hey, we all got to make money. We all got to take money. My wife doesn't pay. No freebies at our house.
That's right.
Jordan goes shopping in my cooler.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it'd be market day. I'm like, oh, where's Jordan at? She's in the cooler, got a bag, just stuffing up tomatoes, whatever she can find. She's like, I'm like, oh, you went grocery shopping for the week. I'm like, nice.
Grocery shop, cheaper that way.
Yeah, get it cheaper for one of us.
It's always funny. I see videos online where it's like when your wife fills up her truck at the farm.
Yeah.
Because that gas is free. Because
Right.
she's not at the pump paying for it at a gas station. I guess we can bounce back to the farm. Are you doing anything new on the farm? New varieties, maybe, or trying some new tactics in order to.
We tried the Evercrisp, and that's a good apple. It hasn't really taken off. We don't have a lot of acres of it, but it's one that we don't know if we're going to try and top graft. And we've never done top grafting before, so that's something, if we do it, it'll be new for us. But it's already a high-density orchard. You know, the rootstock we like is there. It's probably just time to put a different variety on top of it that, you know, we have a better chance of selling.
Right.
We've been doing some high-density plantings, and I come up to Grand Rapids a lot, and I got a lot of really good buddies up here that, you know, I can call, and they'll help me whenever I need to, of questions or anything I got. We've kind of dialed in on the 3x11 spacing now. I don't know if the 2x10 is the most economical. I think, you know, yeah, it produces a very pretty apple. But the cost at the end of the day, I don't know if I can justify it for, and maybe some, you know, I'm sure some people can. I just, you know, right now when I pencil it out, it's just the 3x11. I like the yield. I think it makes a really pretty apple. It makes a really nice tree. I mean, I've had good luck with that spacing. And then we're also going backwards a little bit, which some people probably are amazed about, but we've been back to some freestanding trees on M7, you know, planting them 6x14. You know, I've seen some styles like that down, you know, where we farm, and guys have had really good luck with that. I mean, you can produce a really nice apple. It's good for processing. You know, it's a lot cheaper to put that tree in the ground on a per acre basis, and you can still pull in a really good yield. I mean, they can pull yields that you can pull in high density, and that in an orchard costs a third or a fourth of the cost.
Without the infrastructure as well. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about. I mean, maybe you might need a wire or two to help that tree as it gets bigger.
We'll
better.
put a grape wire in. So we'll string up like an 8-foot post, put one wire down the middle, and just to hold it for the first like 5 to 6 years. After the 5th, 6th year, those M7 trees, they're pretty rooted in. You don't really, they're not going to move anymore. That wire, I mean, we have orchards like that Dad planted back in the early 2000s, late 90s. And we pulled, their wires are still there. They're not doing anything anymore. But I mean, that's a pretty cheap way to put a trellis in to hold those trees up. And I mean, man, it takes you a little bit longer to get them in production. But if you can hold out that extra year or two, I mean, it's
Pretty good.
I think it works out. I mean, yeah, those guys, to train them to trim, you know, high density is probably easier. You know, you give them a rule book and they kind of, each tree they're going to treat the same. I mean, but if you get a couple good guys, I mean, they can go through some of those 6x14 blocks pretty fast.
Yeah, we're doing that too. We have M106 rootstock that we're doing on 6x14 on a one block, and we just finished up 65 acres on our high density. So we're gonna change it up a little bit, get away from the high density,
Yeah.
as well. So we'll see how that works out. I'm glad we're on the same idea with the spacing. Sounds like we had the right idea at least.
It works out good. We've have some 6x14 stuff, and I mean, we've pulled some nice yields off of it. It seems to make a pretty quality apple. I mean, I've been really happy with it. And I mean, my dad he's old school, and he's probably he's really never liked the high density. Never really agreed. He's planted some high density orchards, but I've never heard someone complain more about planting an orchard. But man, when I told him we're going to go back to these old school ones, I've never seen him smile so much.
Just lit right up.
Oh, he was on board. He's like, I'll get trees. I'm like, wow, you want to plant? I was like, wow, that's something new. I was like, all right.
It's funny. He's in. He's full. He's back at it.
Oh, he was loving it. He was loving it.
What other rootstock varieties do well down there? I guess in the region, not necessarily what you have. All of our farm is Nick 29, except for the stuff that's in our nursery. But we have sandier soils. I'm not sure what your guys' soil's like down here.
We got some heavier ground. Our sandiest stuff is in the back, but even over there at Bud Nines, our biggest thing is it's hard for us to control the growth. Trees for us blow up very fast. So, you know, Bud 9 we use a lot of. I have some Bud 10s in the ground now. That's new G11s on high density. And then a lot of our farm, probably 80% besides the high density being some of those smaller roots is almost all M7. My dad did a lot back in the day with 118s, 106s, what worked for us. 106s for our heavier ground, they didn't hold it, they would get too wet. We had a lot of trees die because it was just cholera rot. They sat in some water for a little bit, and so 106 didn't work for us. Dad didn't love 118, but M7s, whatever clicked with him in those, that is 90% of our farm. And they've worked out great. His spacings varied from time to time, but as for, consistent yields and size and quality, we've had great luck. Some of the small ones were still, G11, I have some of those on Honeycrisp right now. They haven't been in production yet. A lot of people have told me I'm going to have bitter pit problems with G11. We'll find out. We have M7s on Honeycrisp, and, we can keep those pretty clean. So I feel pretty good about the G11s. It grew a nice tree from where I was. I have some coming. I'm probably on B9, but, and I've had some on B9, just it's harder to get them to that top wire because we don't do anything with irrigation.
You don't do any irrigation at all? You guys just plan on those random water that just pours down out of nowhere for you guys down there in southern Michigan?
We seem to get lucky, and we've never really had an issue. We got a couple of rented blocks that have irrigation on it, and definitely we hope, see some size on, especially this past year. That Gala block definitely had way better size than everything else. But Dad's never been a big believer in irrigation. I was pretty hot and heavy on it for a while that we needed to. Once kind of breaking the cost down and kind of going over of what we have. I don't see it really affecting us in terms of, quality or crop load. We're pretty consistent year to year, so I don't think it's hurt us. But also, I think we're also very lucky with the soil that we get to grow on. We have nice pH, good CEC. I think we're just really blessed with the ground that we get to grow on.
Yeah, that definitely makes a huge difference. Up north, we have very low organic matter in the soil, so it's always a struggle.
Fertigation is nice too. You can make one less trip through the orchard, maybe a couple.
We definitely are starting to use that more and more.
Yeah,
on our farm at least. We just have a little tiny pump that just sits on the ground. It's nothing special, but it gets the job done.
I've heard a lot of good about that, though.
Yeah. It just pumps it right into the irrigation. You time it out and just let it rip. We just fill up a tote with a couple different mixes and just set it to each. It's a pain to reset your irrigation valves all the time in order to make sure that every variety gets a shot of it, but at different rates.
Oh, you switch it up per variety?
Yeah, we'll do a different amount of time or amount of material per variety. Like our Jonagolds, especially when we're doing nitrogen, we don't really need the nitrogen on the Jonagolds anymore, so we do just get one shot of it, and then all the other stuff gets a couple, once a week, but 2 hours or 4 hours.
Just trying to get to the top wire.
Yeah, we're trying to force them to top wire without causing any fire blight. It's always the high density goal, right? Push them as far as you can and
don't kill them.
And don't kill them.
Yep.
Don't get yourself into too much trouble,
Yep.
which we've done pretty well with so far.
Yeah. How many different grape varieties do you guys have?
Right now, just 2. We only do juice grapes, so we got Concords and Niagaras.
Nice.
All through Welch's. The wine grape thing, it's just that's a roller coaster right now. It's kind of like everything else. It's it's so up and down, and a lot of it, there's some overproduction, and I know there's wineries that have 2 years of supply on hand. They have a big crop and they're out of place to put them.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of
I can remember a few years ago, a guy in the wine grape industry told me, he's like, there's never been a wine grape unpicked, and now it's like every vineyard has grapes left in it. So
oh yeah,
it's real, and it happened real fast.
Famous last words.
Yeah, people just don't want to drink anymore.
Well, and out in California they pumped them in. There was apples. A lot of guys were taking out apples in Northern California and putting in more grapes. It got to a point where that was such a high commodity at the time. I think there's even nut guys out there that are pulling out nut trees and putting in wine grapes, even if it's overproduced. They're just trying to find anything different.
Yeah.
And that became so fast. And like you said, not as many people drink anymore. And
yeah, if you talk to any winemaker or winery owner, they say wine sales are way down.
Yeah,
across the nation. So
all the wives are happier at home. They're not smacking a couple bottles of wine at home by themselves. Where do you think the future of fruit in Michigan is going to look like in the next couple of years? Where do you think we're
It's a
headed?
tough question.
It is a tough question because you have all of these markets that everyone's doing a great job producing quality fruit, but like you're saying, when we have good years, we put cherries on the ground. You're not picking grapes. Apples are, we're trying to find any other way that we can do things with these other fruits in order to continue to use as much of the product as we can. And sometimes some of your fruit doesn't get used. What do you think that looks like in the next couple of years?
I mean, it's a scary thought to think about. It's hard to say. I mean, I look at it each time, and because like I'm young. I mean, I'm Dad gets to retire here shortly. He doesn't really have to think about what that future holds. Versus me, I got another 40, 50 years. So how what's that market going to be like? I mean, I think everything's cyclical. I think everything goes up and down. I hope that it corrects itself sooner than later. I mean, I have hope. I think everything will work itself out. Everything seems to. I kind of go back to what my dad always says. This isn't the first time this has ever happened. It's not going to be the last. He said, if you don't have the stomach for it now, then you might as well not do it because it's going to happen again in the future. And he tells me stories about back in the day when he couldn't give apples away for free. Basically, he left orchards. He left a whole Rome block, pushed it out the next year. Well, now guess what? Everyone, people want Romes again. But I mean, everything just kind of goes up and down. I mean, the cherry market was great this year. I mean, Dad used to grow a bunch of cherries back in the day for Veliquist, and then it pulled them all out and went to grapes. And grapes have their hard times. I think you just got to ride with it. Keep the crops you have. Don't try and make any rash decision on I'm going to, take out all my apples and plant all, this, you gotta, fruit is just a wave, and you have the highs and you have the lows. And, I mean, everything's changed nowadays. The world's, a whole different place, and we just got to figure out where we fit into that and, make adjustments.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is, educating. We always talk about it, educating the consumer and making that connection. Like you're talking about the markets, they ask the questions. People are curious, like you said. There's been no better time when people are more curious about where their food comes from and how it's made. And so I think that in the age of social media, I think it's huge to be able to put that story online. It's always important for a farm to kind of have a story that you can lean on to, coming up on 100 years. Dude, that's crazy. That's awesome for you guys. And you guys should be getting some banners at your market, and saying 100 years, like that's something to be proud of. And educating, I think, that on social media. And you do a great job. You guys have a great following on Facebook. And you do, posting updates and stuff like that is huge in order to keep people coming back too. If you don't do that, then maybe they don't know that market's open that day, or maybe they don't know you're starting, or like you always do a good job of posting when like a new product hits that market, right? Because you go through the different stages where different things are, and people look forward to seeing that message. I'm sure, but they're like, oh, we've been waiting for for the grapes to come up, type thing. So I think education can go a long way.
Well, in the social media side, I mean, I'd say I do kind of a rough job at it sometimes. And I go, I thank you for kind of getting on me every once in a while. You're like, dude, go post something. I mean, there's times where I get busy and I have these like little 2-3 month windows where I don't put anything out there. And that's where I want to get, better at, because like you said, it's, it seems like it's important nowadays for the consumers to see some of that and see some of those stories from the growers and from the farms. And I know when I first got into it, it kind of shied me away from it a little bit, because there were some neighbors down my way that, kind of criticized me for it and, didn't, why are you doing that? Didn't really, like that I was out there doing that. And, it's kind of at that point now where it's, I think it's important, and it's, probably doesn't matter what someone else says. You go do it. Go do it. I mean, if one person's got a problem with it, it shouldn't affect how you're gonna roll with it.
Right. One quote I heard from somebody that has always stuck with me, especially when I started doing this, is why would you care about the opinion of somebody that you wouldn't ask advice from?
Yeah.
Which really stuck with me, because I was like, there's so many people who love to chatter, especially in small towns. It's like, who cares what your friends say? If you like doing it and you think you're making a difference, then you do it. And it's only cringy until it's not cringy anymore, right? It's only weird until all of a sudden everyone's like, whoa, oh, you're doing pretty good, or you're getting this, you're getting paid to do this, you got sponsored. All of a sudden it's like, oh, maybe he's not just a weirdo putting in, talking to a GoPro in the middle of the orchard when I was first starting. It's just funny how it changes, and how just opinions shouldn't matter except for your own. If you think you're making a difference and helping your farm out, your operation, or advocate, if you want to do more and advocate for, an industry, or like you're saying, where you do multiple different boards, you're already doing the same thing. with the growers, it's just one more step to put it out in public. And you're already putting yourself out there by being on those boards. It's just an easy one more step.
Well, and it's cool sometimes to see those people that, are commenting and saying like, thank you for this information, or I like seeing this, they enjoy it and they're engaging with your content. And I mean, if you see, if I see a post and there's, 30, 40 people that are like, hey, I like this, it's the kind of that extra step of like, well, I kind of enjoy doing it. I see people like seeing that type of content. It's making them feel better, even whether or not it's helping me or helping the industry. I mean, because some of the stuff I post and, I don't do it just for Kugel Farms. It's not just, I'm not doing it specifically to help just my operation. I put stuff out there in hopes that, it's kind of a voice for the state or, the country of how are we doing things, and if to teach somebody something new. If they can learn something new and take what they didn't know before, I'll take it as a win each time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always like you have those like 15 people that are just chugging you along. And you're like, I'm posting this video for like my 7 followers, But that's a difference in 7 people that and who knows, maybe they're sharing that with, oh, I didn't know that they, this is a fact about apples I didn't know, and they share that with somebody else, and all of a sudden it, like you said, a little bit can go a long way, especially in the community.
Oh, and it's always the videos that I seem to not take a lot of time on. Those seem the ones that do really well. Yeah. And the ones I spend some time on, I'm like, yeah, this one's gonna do great. And you're just like, wow, that one disappointed me. I'm just post something random. It's like, wow, that one did great though.
Yep. Yeah, some of the best ones you just throw out there. I did one I made in bed in like 6 minutes, and then it had 2.1 million views, and it was about me taking a AC cap out of a John Deere, and I was like, oh, my bush light will fit that, and I screwed it back in. And it actually was all about John Deere. People were fired. Oh, there goes your warranty, because you can't work on a newer Deere without, voiding your warranty. So people were all fired up about that and arguing in the comments. But it's funny, just stuff that you just take a little bit of time on doesn't do that well, but you just whip something out there quick, usually is very successful in the social media world. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to chat about before we wrap her up?
Unless you got something.
No, I think we're pretty well set. You guys have any other questions?
No.
Do you have any social media you would like to plug? Facebooks, YouTube,
man,
anything you want.
If anyone wants to go follow me, it's Kugel Farms kind of across the board. We have a TikTok, a Facebook, Instagram. I mean, I'm definitely going to try and be a lot more active. We're going to take it a little bit more serious going into 2026. My wife's going to help me a little bit, and hopefully we'll have a lot more content, a lot more quality content. Kind of go some different places, see some different things, go to some different farms, hopefully make it up by your way a little bit and kind of see what's going on.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time out of your expo. I know you're a busy guy. You got places to be, people to see.
Some great information. We appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. It's awesome to be able to talk to people that, like I said in the beginning, that we don't get to see often because our little range of a studio in Traverse City, people don't, it's very difficult to get growers from far away to come, to make a trip if they're not already up in the area. So, again, very appreciative of your time. Thank you very much. This is episode 18, and it's available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and the video version is available on YouTube. So if nobody has anything else,
we've got a TikTok and everything now.
Oh,
right?
Yes, we have a new TikTok page. We just started. I forgot about that. I gotta add that into the post roll. But yes, it's on TikTok at the Specialty Cropcast. I probably should start with an Instagram too. Yeah, those are pretty easy. But look for us on those social medias. Look for Greg again. Thank you very much, guys. This has been a good Expo podcast season. First one.
Yeah, let's keep it going tomorrow.
Whoa. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you guys in the next episode.